Welcome to Mini Fights. I am Brian and I am still painting Skaeth's Wild Hunt. This is video 3 of this series. We're getting really into the nitty gritty here. But if you'd like to start from the beginning, check the top right of the screen. There should be a link, if I remember to put it there. Or if you're an absolute mad lad, just start here. So this step we are blocking out with Crixbane Highlight, which is one of my favorite warm light gray colors. We're blocking out some areas that are going to be a white fabric color. And in addition to the white fabric accents, we're painting this Phantom of the Opera style mask on this model. It looks very Dark Eldar, Drukhari, Harlequin style, which is really cool. I'm glad they've kind of ported that into the Age of Sigmar aesthetic. I feel like Age of Sigmar is where Games Workshop likes to take their design risks, and I think these models for Underworld and a lot of new Age of Sigmar stuff are really superb. And if you've watched the first two videos, you've seen me hop around here. I do this quite a bit. In this project I did a lot because I was mulling over color choices and trying to move along quickly. So I went from applying that Crixbane Highlight as the base coat for the white, and I jumped right into rendering the black areas. And the reason I did that is to let the Crixbane dry and also to give myself a little mental bandwidth to make some color decisions on where to go next on that. After some deliberation, I decided to highlight this black with a little bit of coal black and a little bit of white. This is going to tie it in with the hair colors. This ties it in with the coal black that we shaded the orange with, and just generally sort of ties the room together with our color unity, our orange and teal color unity that we're trying to drive into almost all the colors on this model. This is going to be a two-stage highlight. This step here is the first stage, and then we're going to go in with a tighter highlight that has a bit more white in it. Now, while these black areas are not what you would call a typical non-metallic metal, and they're not going to be painted to reflect light in the same fashion, I'm still using some non-metallic metal sort of techniques and ideas here with where I'm placing highlights. It's just not going to be built up to the same degree that a reflective surface would be, and it's not going to be reflecting color. You want to be using the side of your brush on a lot of these parts. All those hard edges of the shield rim, the hard edges of the trim on the lower parts of the horse, centaur, lower body thing. Generally speaking, anything with a hard edge really works nicely to use this side of the brush. This is probably the most satisfying stuff to render, in my opinion. Something about painting black well, getting those edge highlights to be pretty tight, getting a little color in there. It's just a fun journey. And there's different layers. You can drive this to much more layers than I do, or you could really keep it to 1 or 2 total layers. It really has a lot to do more with placement and keeping the edge highlights pretty clean. I always like to work a little color in instead of just taking black and mixing it straight to white. You know, we worked in our coal black and stuff. It's got a little bit of bluish, greenish tone to it. Adds a little more interest. Combines with some of the warm tones of the model to really catch your eye. As we discussed earlier, I am going to place some light where it would make sense to be sort of in reflective areas like that. So even though it's not non-metallic metal, we're putting in a little bit of a reflection here and there. Lines that kind of run down the center of things that imply a little bit of a shinier surface than a standard non-metallic surface. Now this white is really fun, and part of what makes it fun is part of what also makes it kind of hard to film, is that I really worked the next 2 layers kind of at the same time. And you can see my palette there, I've got 2 colors on it, I've got that kind of, probably what's like a 3 value and then like a 2 value next to it. I take those 2 colors and I apply them, and I apply that darker one in kind of the majority, and then that lighter one I kind of blend in where the light really peaks. And the reason I did that is that these are, you know, grays and whites are pretty opaque. And once you put them down, it can be difficult to blend them in by using glazes. You can't really glaze like a white. What you end up doing is you just cover it with thin white, and the pigment is too opaque and dense, and it doesn't really let the layers underneath show. So our techniques we used on our orange and our green aren't going to work on this. So what we do instead is we put our middle tone in, and while it's wet, we blend in the high tones, and we push them back and forth with them both live on our palette and kind of blend them together a little bit. And, you know, I don't know if I would call this true wet blending, but it's really more of just edge of layer blending here and there, where it makes sense. And we did that active blending on the model. Now we're going in with pure white and just adding a very final peak light. And that is going to make it really, some of those edges really pop and shine out and just kind of be more present. So really happy with that. It has a nice blended look, but it still jumps out at you. There's still some nice contrast on those creases in the cloth, the wrists, the edges of the cloth, that kind of stuff. And once more, I will note that we are really winging it here. I kind of decided after the fact that, hey, you know, the black color we did on all the rest of the model would look really good on hooves, the tail blades, a few other areas. So we were retroactively applying that. So, you know, we lost a little time by skipping it and having to redo it again later. But ultimately, I think it's going to tie it all together better than trying to come up with another color for hooves and those blades and things. There's also like the teeth of the cat dog, the claws, a few other spots like that where it makes sense. We're just using this, it's going to tie the squad together. As we finish that step, you can see it really coming together nicely. Nice limited palette on the models, but they still have a lot of visual variety, a lot of eye-catching spots, a lot of cool color contrasts. That's going to wrap this video up, and we're going to conclude it in episode 4, which will be coming out soon. If you like this video, I recommend subscribing to my channel because I post lots of content like this. Please like the video, comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't, and I will see you next time.